Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to another podcast from the Muslim Father Support Forum. As always, I have my brother Ahmed X, my namesake, Ahmed X, with us. Assalamu alaikum, brother Ahmed X.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone.
Excellent. Okay, bro, let's get into it. Today I want to start with a comment we had on our last podcast. Get my tongue right. Well, first one as well. But here, let's just add this to it. Okay. So we had a comment that was actually deleted for some reason. I think it was a sister that posted it up, which was a fair comment, I thought. So just finish watching the full podcast. There was a lot of discussion about men's rights, hadith, and other important issues. But there was one angle I think you missed out that could really make a difference, especially for the sisters who might realize the weight of it. If you delved into the deep psychological and long-lasting effects of children or child growing up without the father, it could be truly eye-opening. Truly eye-opening. The absence of a father figure doesn't create a void; it creates a lasting wound that often gets ignored, which I agree with. So far, so good. Children, especially girls, can struggle with the feeling of abandonment, lower self-esteem, and insecurity. Yes, there's been many studies that have shown that. Agree with it. Sorry, I've just lost myself there a little bit. Sorry. They might internalize that sense of unworthy of love, protection. This sees the world affecting their.
I think you missed the line, bro. This void can lead. Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, go on. You take it from there, bro, because my eyes are struggling with the size of the font.
This void can lead to difficulties in forming healthy relationships later in life and may affect how they parent their own children. That missing father figure can alter the way a child sees the world, affecting their trust in others and their sense of stability. It's a psychological gap that doesn't just disappear, and the effects are felt for years, often without people even realizing the root cause. If you appeal to the sister's compassionate side and highlighted the deep emotional impact, it could have an even greater effect in helping them see the bigger picture. Addressing this could really shift the conversation and bring awareness to something many might overlook, but is so crucial for healing and moving forward. If I can just say, obviously, I saw the comment first and I thought, wow, okay, this is actually a very good comment. And like everything else, people do like a little bit of patience. As this is our third podcast, and obviously me and Brother Ahmed, we have a whole load of topics we are going to cover. But fair enough, and I did reply to the sister, and I said to her, mashallah, brilliant comment. I fully agree with you. But at the same time, as you will see in our future podcasts, that there are verified examples of sisters, despite knowing all of this, they just don't care. They prioritize their ego, their vengeance, their motives, their agenda ahead of the child's well-being, and we see it time and time again. But yeah, it's quite weird actually why she deleted the kind of comment. It's actually quite a positive one.
Yeah,
and yeah.
I mean, it makes a lot of valid points in there. It talks about the insecurities caused in children, especially girls, and boys, but especially girls. Everything there that I agree with. But the thing is, one thing that always strikes me is this never gets said on a woman's platform. We'll see time and time again women posting up various accounts of their stories. And they often say that, oh, I had to stop my ex-partner with the children's father from seeing their kids. And you'll never see nobody post up something like this, that, oh, have you thought about the long-term effects that your actions are going to cause for the young children?
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are on a men's platform. Generally, we're talking about the Muslim experience, the Muslim men's experience of divorce and all of these things that we're seeing. And yet we always get the accountability sticker put on us that you guys need to do better or think better or like, have you thought about this, appealing for this? Nobody wants to appeal to us, but yet we have to make concessions to appeal. What we're trying to do, I think, more is a spotlight. Try and show people, like, look, yeah, we do want change. We do. We're not that we're saying we don't want to appeal, but equally, we can't pander too much to that audience because we're just voicing up, being a voice for the people that go through this. And not every situation is the same. There's this, unfortunately, we have so many stories, and we've been burnt so many times. Divorce, as we've spoken about, is a very difficult subject. We spoke in the last podcast about the decision between Jannah and Jahannam, all of these things, and even couples that divorce. A story that comes to mind is a couple. They had an argument, and they had quite a big argument to a point where they were actually going to divorce. But alhamdulillah, they kind of stayed together. But after that, it got the brother thinking, and they had a sit down. The couple had a sit down, and said, "Look, we can't let it get to this stage again. And if it does, and is that we are to separate and go our separate ways, what we should do is we'll come to an agreement. We'll have an agreement between us that we will never use the children, and that both parties will see the children, and both parties will work towards the best for that child." I remember the brother telling me this, and when it came to the crunch of it, and it did transpire that that they had to go their separate ways, and lo and behold, what happened? The brother's going through a situation where he's having to go to family court to get access to his kids. He's had false allegations put against him. He's having to go through the whole mill again, despite the fact that they both promised each other that if they were to go down the path of divorce, that they would avoid such things. It's just crazy. And this is it. Like, these are the kinds of stories that we want to bring to the table. Yeah, we do want to appeal to the sisters and say, look, we don't want you to do this. But equally, that our platform is to raise awareness of the struggle that men are going through, especially Muslim men, and what we're dealing with. So inshallah, but we'll try and balance it out. But these are the things that we want to give to the ummah and say, this is the Muslim experience. Well, what's your take on it, bro?
Yeah, and I think I'm quite aware of that brother that you mentioned as well. Yeah, and I think it's the same brother. We were both there. He also mentioned that his ex-wife had a brother who went through a divorce, and there was two boys involved, and I think she was quite close to one of the boys. And while they were married, she'd get updates here and there, and she told him that my nephew that I've not seen for a while, he's getting older, but he's getting quite rebellious. He's not listening to the mum. So at that point, that same sister, she knew the effects. So going back to the comment, just to kind of like show an example that the sister knew. She's quoting, she's observing that my nephew is going through this, and it just shows what a fatherless figure can do. But despite that, the same individual, I think, the same case, she fully knowingly did what she did, not putting the children's well-being in the forefront, making sure that basically the father didn't see, I think it was 2 years without seeing his 4 kids.
Yeah. And I think that's a really valid point you put in there, because this is it. They're saying that appeal to the sisters. But the thing is, the sisters that do this are hell-bent on doing these things.
Yeah.
In fact, if you just listen to what brother X here, I want to call you brother X, which Ahmed, what he just reminded me of as well, that this person, this woman, experienced parental alienation and from her nephew, and seeing her nephew evaporate from their lives, and only getting updates through whatever means. Yet, despite going through that and seeing the effects that it had on her brother, who went through all of this, and then obviously the effects it has on the child, but yet she's chosen to then do the very same thing to her husband X amount of time later.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
And this is it. We can go there and speak with the sisters and liaise with the sisters and stuff, but when you got people just hell bent on doing wrong, they're going to do wrong, and they're trying to appeal to those types of people. Ain't going to make that much of a difference, in all honesty. But
So alhamdulillah, yeah, I think like I said, I wanted to kind of like, really kind of respond to the comment, because we want to make these podcasts and anything that we post on social media, not just us speaking, but we want to be interactive. We want to engage with people, because that's how we're going to bring about change. So yeah, at the same time, we don't want to spend too much time on it. And our next thing was, I'll let you introduce
Yeah.
the.
So we're moving on from that, but equally, just to finish off on this, if
Yeah.
people want to reach out to us, want to come on the podcast, join us, share their stories and what have you, reach out to us. I'm sure
100%,
we can make some
100%.
space. So yeah. So right, let's move on to something else now. So we have a lot of men that get married to divorced women. Um, And there seems to be everybody seems to say there's a stigma to marrying a divorcee, and I'd agree that there is, but especially more for the sisters. I'm not going to deny that, but equally the brothers have that. In our group we have hundreds and hundreds of brothers trying to rebuild their lives, and they're saying, right, how do I move forward? And a lot of them come back with, oh, the pool that is like that. Sorry, where am I? There I am. Right. Oh, there I am.
Yeah.
Right. That is like that. But because when you're a divorcee, it becomes like that. And the reason for the shrinkage is because they're a divorcee. So I think one thing is that yeah, the sisters get it more, but equally it does affect men. But for today's discussion, so when a man marries a divorcee, is it a bad thing? No. Alhamdulillah, it's excellent, right? If you find a kindred spirit and you find that you can build a life and a family with somebody, fantastic. But one thing I do want to bring up is there's a particular video that's gone around, or a TikTok, I believe. We'll have to post a link in the comments so people can go see it for themselves. And this brother is talking about, I think there's a whole series of him. I think he's Pakistani,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
sister is Bangladeshi.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Islam promotes. If you're of the same faith, yeah, go for it. Fantastic. No issues there. Um, so, but the contention is this. So I'm going to play this video, and then we'll have a little discussion.
For your family.
Oh, sorry.
It was hard work.
Do you want some lip balm?
Hi everyone, it's Cash and Carry. Ash and Harry. Today we're talking about the adoption process. Did you know that in Islam, adopting a child is regarded as one of the most highly respectable things you can do?
He is adopting him. Obviously, he's already my child, so I don't need to adopt him. So what does it mean when you adopt someone?
I know what it's
For
called.
parental responsibility.
I'm getting parental responsibility, basically.
So they even look at me, they look at Ash, they look at our finances and our families, and then they interviewed our son. How did it go down for your family versus my family?
It was hard work. Seriously.
So-
It was hard, it's hard. The parents are from an old mindset, and so you have to challenge that. And sometimes you can challenge it and they understand, and sometimes they don't. And my side on one section, it didn't. We weren't able to meet mutual ground, but it was accepted. It was tough, but we got there in the end. And, life is life. People grow and learn.
If it was an Islamic country, it would class as something else. Ajmal Mansour.
Ajmal Mansour, yeah, seen him on TV. It was crazy. And then I'm standing in the same room with him and asking him advice about adoption. Guy, really educated and highly articulate.
It was him that actually gave us the little boost about family is here, but adopting is here. So, you're going for a greater good.
Right. So just to confirm, Cash and Carry, whatever, right? They're married. Obviously, I think the sister has a child from the previous marriage.
Sorry, are you sure you said Cash and Carry, not Tango and Cash?
Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to tell which one's which. Anyway, no, let's not listen. Look, alhamdulillah, they've come together. Let's not take cheap shots. But look, they've got that relationship, great. But so just to confirm, so she's divorced. She's got a child from the previous marriage. Now she's married to the brother, whichever one he is. So they're married, and in their union, somewhere along the way, they've decided that now the brother is going to adopt the son. Now, from my interactions, I have been blocked. I will state this from them, but from what I can gather from their story, that the son has nothing to do with his biological father or with his father, biological, but just his father. Um, they say it's a mutual arrangement, agreement, whatever, and that the father will reach out, or that the boy will reach out to the father when he feels ready, if and when he feels ready. So on the back of that, they've gone and adopted this 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 boy who is not fatherless, who has a father. His father's around, who doesn't see him. We don't know the story there, so we're not going to pass judgment on that. But the question for here is, because I noticed towards the end of the clip there, they talk about that they got Islamic guidance from Ajmal Masoor. Now, Brother Ahmed, are you familiar with Ajmal Masoor? Is he a scholar?
Yes, yeah, he's an imam. Scholars, obviously, look, we might even have to have another podcast on about what is a true scholar. But yeah, from what I understand, yeah, he's someone knowledgeable, and he has been imam of a masjid. And I know people know him more as a fundraiser on some of the kind of Bangladeshi kind of Islamic channels and whatnot. He has come on Islam channel itself. But yeah, he's someone that can advise. But yeah, he's someone quite well known as well. He's also been on Sky speaking partially about Palestine, Gaza in the past as well. He's quite well known.
Okay. So, all right. So obviously he's somebody of Islamic knowledge. Now, to me, from my basic, no, I don't know more than Brother Ajmal and all of this. I'm not saying that. Here's just a question: can you adopt a child whose parents are still alive, from an Islamic perspective, not from asking from a law of the land perspective? You know, I'm not. It's like saying that, you know, essentially, if you go to Asda, it has halal and haram products, right? The law of the land says that you can buy whatever you want, but Islam dictates that you've got to buy what is halal, and that's what we're trying to decipher here. What are the halal actions in this situation? So, Brother Ahmed X, I'm going to hand over to you, because obviously your Islamic knowledge is greater than mine. Can the brother adopt a child whose father is still alive?
Yeah, I would say, bro, look, when you pass it over to me and you do the whole Islamic thing, look, I'm not a scholar. Alhamdulillah, I know very little, and I refer to the scholars. So in most cases, I'll refer to ulama and share what I've been taught. Again, I'm not that knowledgeable, and I would never dare to give my own opinion on things. If I do, then I'm always going to be happy to be corrected and whatnot. But
So both of us.
yeah. So what I would say is, look, the brother starts off like, did you know it's a very highly, high worthy act of a highly rewardable act, something like that. He basically said it in terms of adopting, which of course it is. But then I'm going to throw in the other spectrum. It's also a major sin to claim to be a father of a child that you're not. And again, I'm not saying he's doing that. And what I would say is, some things are quite telling when, if you play the other video in a bit, inshallah, where your comment was deleted, and I commented asking, is the father alive or contactable? And it's that wishy-washy response of, there is no clear yes or no. Just a simple response of, yes, the father is alive, he has access, or he has chosen not to be in touch, or we're working towards that. Because again, to break it down, and again, we will have a dedicated podcast on each of this topic. And for example, one topic of how far do you take it to reach out to the father, let's say, who is even a deadbeat? Well, Islam says you have to go all out. You have to do your bit to reach out to the father and say, look, your child needs you. And if that father has to go through a kind of program to realize that he needs to be a father for his child, like, no one talks about going to those lengths because Islam demands that. Islam demands that.
I just want to take a step back here for a second. So when he's saying that in Islam, adoption is a highly rewarding thing, he's correct. But for orphans, I think that's, from what I've seen, it talks more about adopting an orphan, a child that has lost both parents, What's your take on that?
Yeah, and look, I'm not trying to put the brother down here or the couple here, but here I will give my opinion, because it's not like fiqh related. To come across and talk about adoption in such a way where the mum's the legitimate mother, and okay, but no one really speaks about it. Oh, I'm marrying a sister who has a son. I'm going to adopt him. No, normally it's I'm going to be his stepfather. Like the word adoption is never used. So for me, it's quite weird. And again, Allah knows best whether they're doing it for clout or to bring something new to the table in terms of the wording. Oh, I'm adopted, because straight away from the neutral, it throws them off. Think, oh, mashallah, they're adopting a child. But then when they realize that this is not an orphan, the mum is the real mum, and it's a stepfather, I'm sorry to say, it kind of like made me realize, you know what, it's a little bit silly, because you can word it how you want it, but the reality is, let's be honest, come on, you're not adopting a son, you're his stepfather, and the mother is the real mother. And like I said, and then to not answer straight and clearly, where is the real father, have efforts been made, and then basically, then like I said, if you're going to use Islam, let's be consistent. Yes, 100% right. The famous hadith, which every charity will use, even coming up this Ramadan, sponsoring an orphan. Me and that person who sponsors an orphan will be like this. And if you can lift your two fingers up, bro, like, together, this is always given. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you will be with the Prophet ﷺ in Jannah, that close. And everyone knows that famous hadith. It's used every year, and we'll hear it again. That's amazing, mashallah. But come on, like.
Yeah, and they talk about the greatness of reward for
Yeah.
like, even if you put your hand over the head of an orphan, that all the hairs, like each hair will be like.
I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure about it.
I've heard something along those lines.
Yeah,
but
if I can, sorry, Bob. Can I just narrate a verse from the Quran and also a couple of hadiths?
Yeah.
And inshallah, they might appear on the screen as well, just for our viewers, inshallah, with the reference. But Allah says in the Quran, and He, as in Allah, did not make your adopted sons your sons. That is only your speech by your mouths. And Allah guides you to the right path. Call them by the names of their real fathers. It is more just in the sight of Allah. So, subhanallah, I mean, look at the emphasis. On the day of judgment, we will all be called by our father's lineage, our father's names, not the adopted father. And there are other implications, such as that son cannot inherit your wealth. Like I said, we inshallah will have a dedicated podcast talking about the lineage and the importance of a father. There are repercussions, and the emphasis is, the real father is the real father. And then just a couple of hadiths. Sa'ad ibn Waqqas and Abu Bakr both narrate that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Whoever claims to be the son of other than his father knowingly, he will be denied paradise." This is Bukhari. I mean, you can't get any emphatic as that. So you're actively trying to claim to be the father of a son that you're not, and the consequence is you'll be denied paradise. Subhanallah.
Well,
and then lastly, brother, sorry, if you want to.
No, go on.
And then lastly, Abu Dhar radiallahu anhu narrates that he heard Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, "If somebody claims to be the son of other than his real father knowingly, but he disbelieves in Allah, and if somebody claims to belong to some clan to whom he does not belong, let such a person take his place in the hellfire." So at the same time, yes, it's very highly rewarding to adopt a son. We have to be very, very careful in adopting with the right intention. And what are we doing it for Allah? Are we doing it for ourselves? And again, I'm not judging the brother. I'm saying generally, we have to be very careful, because Islam has laid down the rules and regulations to what extent we can do that.
Let's make a few points there. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely. Thanks for bringing that to the table, brother, because that's just it, isn't it? Number one, we don't want to berate the brother or the couple. We're pleased for you that you found such a happy union. But what this is essentially trying to guide you that you're not going to make something so halal and so wonderful and turn that into your means of tasting Jahannam. I think that's the spirit that we just want to clarify things, not only for this particular couple. We're using this couple as an example because they've brought it to the forefront through social media. They put it
exactly.
into the public domain. So we're commenting on them. We're not targeting them. We're just commenting. We're just using them as a vessel to say, look, this is what's going on behind closed doors, right?
Yeah. Also, I would say again, anyone that decides to go on social media, including us, you have to be open to take criticism, feedback, constructive feedback, and comments. And it's the onus is on them to come out and clarify. Like I said, do you want to play that video where we?
Hold on. Just
the
touch
comments.
on another thing. So what does it mean anyway? Like, you know what? It's just, is it cosmetic? This is just cosmetic, right? It's just a piece of paper, blah blah blah. But actually, no, because now that he's assumed parental responsibility, should the child's mother, real mother, pass away, then this brother here now gets essentially the residency of the child. The child lives with him as father. So it's quite a big decision, especially with the father being out of there, out the picture. It really adds more to it. They're not forthcoming, on the situation with the father for some reason, or for whatever reason. I'm guessing it's private life. Well, if you're going to put stuff out in the public domain, how private is your life then? But you can't be selective. But the question is, even if the father doesn't, want to participate in the child's life, which I hope isn't the case, but even then, there's repercussions from an Islamic perspective on this. So something to seriously consider there. Right.
Yeah, if I can also say as well, yeah, like we hear so many stories of when parental alienation takes place, and the son or the daughter will say, "You're not my father. I have my real father," referring to the stepfather, and that's we've seen it, and again, according to the hadith, and please, in his scholars, correct me if I'm wrong, that's haram. If that is taking place, where the child has been alienated and poisoned, and been told this is your father when actually not, and that your real father is not your real father, then this is haram behavior. The emphasis has to be, yeah, your real father is so and so, but again, that never happens because those sisters unfortunately do this. They try to reinforce that, oh, this is your real father, especially when the child is young, like 2, 3, and they'll try and brainwash them, or I hate to use the word, groom them in a way to believe that, yeah, this is your real father. And then there's horrific stories where when the child finds out, imagine the trauma. So you've lied to me my whole life, all these years, that this is not my real father. In actual fact, you did what you did to cut off from my real father. And again, I think I saw a video yesterday, actually, as we were discussing this, that we talk about children's well-being and whatnot, but what about the trauma when the child is now reached the age of like marriage, say 25, 30 years old, and then they find out it's heartbreaking. They go through depression, and just one last comment. There's that famous film called I think, is it called Lion? The actor from Slumdog Millionaire, and then obviously it's based on a true story. And credit to those couples, those non-Muslim couples, when he was the right age, they told him, and he knew, okay, these aren't my real parents, but they've given me a life, they raised me, I'm grateful to them. That's the right way of doing things, educating at the right moment, not living in a bubble and fooling the child. So one day, that trauma of, what, you told me after 25, 30 years, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, I guess it might help because he was a brown kid, an Indian kid. You got the two white Australian parents. There's a bit of a giveaway there. But look, all jokes aside, but I just want to say, from a personal perspective, this is a real story. This is my story. Obviously, people know much about my story, but there was one incident, and this has kind of just sparked that memory off. So in 2017, or it was just 2018. At this point, I came to the end of proceedings. My house has been taken from me, and all of that stuff. And at this point, I've not seen the children for would be about 2.5 years. And it was Eid. At this point, my the mother of my children there, from that union, reaches out and says, "Oh, the children want to come see you for Eid." at this point, she's also married to that Maulana, the infamous Maulana from Leicester. I won't mention him right now. So it was Eid day out at my mum's house, and knock on the door, and the kids were there. My son comes in, and I'm calling my daughter. I won't say my daughter's name, but I'm calling her. I said, "Sweetie, come in. You know, it's been such a long time. Let me give you a hug." And she turns around and says to me, "No, you're not my real dad." And then that's it. And things started to go south from that moment onwards. You know, it became a bit of a shouting match and this, that, the other. After it was all done and dusted, I went in and my mum's there. If my mum was here, she'll tell you, Ahmed doesn't cry. Ahmed's very resilient, and I am. But that day I broke down because not of what went down, or this, that, the other, but the fact that my daughter said to me, "You're not my dad." And we obviously, you know, what Brother Ahmed spoke about there. We concentrate on the effects it has on the child, but we've got to focus equally on the effects this has on the father. Listen, I'm not saying that this couple, we don't know what their situation is, but I'm just saying from a person that's experienced this, the effect is long lasting. So anyway, let's move on now to the text. So the comments section, which is always fun. So let's have a look. So let's just pause it there. So here
that's my account. So again, I can politely ask just to confirm: is the child's real father not alive, not contactable? It's not very clear. That's why we're going to read it out to you.
Yeah.
And then the response was, why would you? Yes, the response was from Cash and Carry. Why would you think he's not alive or not contactable? Strange question. Probably because you've not really made a video talking about it. You've not really clarified it from the get-go, and that's where I believe the onus is on you. Because if you're going to be,
what's the need for adoption?
Sorry.
Well, what's the need for adoption then?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so you know, if the child's father is alive and well and not running around and all that, so why? What's the need for adoption in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. And again, they've obviously spoken about how they've gone to lengths and done the paperwork and everything, when he could have just been a stepfather. So again, I'm sorry to say, but
which is wrong, brother. All right. Look, lots of people are getting married. Lots of divorcees are marrying other divorcees, and they both have children from their both camps. And when they are getting together, nobody's saying, "Oh, right, yeah, well, let's go down the path of adoption here. Let me adopt your kids," or the woman saying to the man, "Oh, let me adopt your kids."
Yeah.
Right. It's quite an uncommon thing, but
of course
it's happened here. So, what's the rationale for this?
Yeah, and again, just to kind of like, if you press play, and obviously your comment was deleted because as you press play, we'll see.
So is that playing?
No, it's not playing. Oh, no, it's okay. It's playing. If you can put it on pause. Yeah, but basically, yeah. I mean, look, you can read it for yourself. He's saying, did you realize you're a scholar? Please do tell us. Again, let's just answer the simple question. And if you go back a bit, like I said, you can see your comment there, Ahmed, write down or something. And then again, he's replied to it, but he's deleted your comment. Why has he deleted you?
No, he deleted. He blocked me. Yeah. I got the honor of the block.
So again, what's this blocking culture when you've not insulted him? You're asking a genuine question. And it's quite telling when someone does that behavior, deleting and blocking.
Well, unfortunately, I wish I took screenshots and stuff because not only this video, but another video as well, where they spoke about when they mentioned adoption, and I quizzed them. I asked the questions. What's the deal here? And I said respectfully, and the amount of comments. Funny, this is the really interesting bit that I found. I got so much, not from them, right, from other people was like, why are you asking a question like that? What's that got to do with you? Well, nothing. No, this has nothing to do with me, right? But you shoved this out there in the public domain, which means people can put forward an opinion. I'm not
Exactly.
trolling you. I'm not swearing at you. I'm not calling you this, that, the other, right? I'm asking for clarity, which is within my right. You've put
Yep.
this, so you've shoved this content on out there. It's turned up on my feed. I've asked a question. Why are you getting defensive about me asking a question?
Yeah.
And the amount of like, oh, you know, and the other side of this, the mashallah, alhamdulillah, subhanallah, all this, right? What are you people doing? Understand what if you want to put the words of Allah, the great words of Allah on things, make sure you're doing it on the right stuff. Understand it properly. Let's not be frivolous with these things, right?
Exactly. So
Allah's the
do
greatest.
you want to click play, bro? So it runs through again. I think I recorded some of the comments as well. If you click play,
Yeah.
and then as you see, as you're saying, beautiful complimentary comments, which is fine in the grand scheme of things. But again, people are missing the point. And again, it goes back to the question of, again, not talking about this couple here. Are we always trying to think how to be creative for these likes and comments and that kind of clout? Whereas no one's thinking, about the bigger picture. Like, what's actually going on here? Where's the emphasis of the real father?
What was it called? What's it called? Social media prostitution or something?
That's our brother Hamza Tortis. When he says, "Don't be an algorithm prostitute."
That's it, algorithm prostitution. There he was, yeah. So remember saying that, and it was just like, yeah. But look, here it is, like hearts and this, that, the other, claps and all this sort of stuff. Do you people know what you're doing here? Yeah. And look at this one here, right? Our religion is beautiful, right? Like,
but our culture messes things up by a time, a big time.
Yeah, right. Just like Islam is Islam. It's straightforward. Listen. The biggest issue I have, people do haram things all the time. I'm going to kind of a little bit offside, but there's a person that I knew that used to do haram things. But that person always used to say to me, look, the reason I do haram things is because I'm weak and deficient. Right? But I'm not going to stand here and say to you that, no, by me drinking or taking drugs or womanizing or whatever it is that they were into, they wouldn't say, oh, but Islam, here it says that I shouldn't drink or when not praying, but I'm not praying so I can drink, or try and justify and twist the system, twist Islam to make the haram halal. And these sorts of things we need to start moving away from. If something's just wrong, it's just wrong. Like, okay, look. And they've done something, maybe they've not had the knowledge, that's fine, right? You can rectify these things. But let's just be clear on these things, on how we go about it, but let's not try and turn it into this kind of halal fest, like mashallah, alhamdulillah, all of these things. People need to be a bit more astute in what the deen says about things. When it's haram, it's just haram. That's it. Just call it out. Look, and I hope that the couple, the brother, was doing it for the right reasons. I'm praying that that's the case. But you want to do something right, just do it right in every aspect, and it doesn't become a burden for you. That it becomes this albatross that's going to be around your neck. That on the day of judgment, rather than elevating you, it's going to pull you down.
Yeah, just to kind of make clear to our viewers there, when Brother Ahmed just said, what's haram is haram, he wasn't referring to these couples. He was making a point that we should call it out for what it is. We're not saying what the couple is doing is haram.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think, look, I'll give a quick little disclaimer. Because again, we live in a time and age where if you don't clarify and you have to be very careful what you say, people get clipped up and then things get taken out of context. I'm just going to say this, and maybe we might dedicate a whole podcast on this. We are not here to bash women. We're here to promote the nuclear family, mother and father, children, and we're here to promote that if things go sideways, then the children are in the forefront because they're the next generation of our ummah. And that co-parent takes place effectively. Lineage, blood lineage is protected, as Islam emphasizes. Mm-hmm. So in case, people think, what are you guys about? I mean, look, you'll see on our podcast, the logo we have at the bottom right-hand side is Muslim Family Support Forum. That is our overarching kind of main kind of theme. Because now we're going to dedicate some of these upcoming topics related to fathers. That's why we're calling it Muslim Father Support Forum. And we do have another group called Muslim Mother Support Forum, which we are trying to grow. But these things take time. We're not red pill. We don't agree with what they say. But again, because of what's going on the ground, we are seeing it day and night. I think it's just to make this kind of thing a bit clear. And like I said, everyone that's on social media, you have to be open to be criticized or have an opinion if you don't come out to clarify yourself. And again, we are asking the questions in these comments, and again, it's still not been answered. And as I said, these comments, like it's quite silly to an extent, because again, no one's asking the real questions, like where is the real father? Has he been contacted? Is he in the child's life? Because no matter what you do, as I said, Allah will call that child by the real father's name on the day of judgment, not the stepfather. And again, may Allah reward the brother if he's going to spend on the child, raise him as like he would as his own, as we should do with the right intention. That's beautiful. Nothing wrong with that. And again, just to make a little side point, the real father will be held accountable if he's not providing
exactly.
son. So we call it out for what it is. We were trying to be consistent. And if the real father has absolved his rights, then he will be questioned. Where were you?
Yeah. And that's a very good point there, isn't it? I think we're going with the comments. I'll just move us in here. But that's a really good point, isn't it? Because the onus on the real father is still there.
100%.
To be a father, to provide, to protect, all those things that come from fatherhood, it's still there. And just because of this adoption thing, that doesn't mean from an Islamic perspective, that it's cut off now. No, it continues. It never stops. Even if the guy was like 100 years old and he's got children, he's still their father, right?
Yeah,
and I think that's the thing that we've got to really sort of really emphasize. And what's getting more and more worrying out of all of this, because I mean, we've played one thing here, but there's so many clips out there, and I'm sure we'll be picking some up later on. But the normalization of fathers being out of the picture, where women have stopped them and they put the claims of domestic abuse and this, that, the other. And in the comments, I'm sure the sisters might hit up with, but domestic abuse is real. Yeah, but equally, false allegations are real. We've seen them. We've experienced them. Right? I myself have been handcuffed with false allegations of rape. After 5 years of ending a relationship. Right? These sorts of things do happen. I got falsely accused of inappropriately touching my daughter. These things are a reality. And unfortunately, in the ummah right now, we seem to have accepted this as a norm. That this child doesn't see their dad. Why is that? Because the mum stopped him and this, that, the other. And astaghfirullah. It's become talking points over tea. We're not. The ummah is not fussed that. Hold on a second. This should not be us.
Yeah. And again, deadbeat dads, which I do believe do exist. We speak about them a lot. But what about deadbeat wives, which I'm sure we're going to cover? And we don't deny it that domestic abuse takes place by the man, but at the same time, it takes place by the woman as well. Yeah. And hopefully one day we'll have Sister Sally Ann Boris will have some very, very interesting stats.
Inshallah.
When we do bring her on, and that will probably be a big mind shift on what's actually, because she's, again, I won't say too much. Once inshallah she comes on our podcast, you got everyone can see for what it is.
Yeah, and like again, there's an industry there, but again, right now, unfortunately, in this industry, Muslims are feeding into it at a high rate, and we need to change that. And look, divorce is there, no problem. It's unfortunate, but it happens. But what happens after that, the people divorce, that is in our control, and I think we need to do better on that front.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we've covered this one, bro. Jazakallah for your time.
Alhamdulillah. Again, I just feel like just kind of it's always good to end on a dua. May Allah just keep each and every child united with both mother and father, and may Allah reward those parents, both mother and father, when they do adopt, for the sake of Allah. It's a very highly rewarding act. But let's not forget the importance of blood lineage and the real father, and let's not misconstrue for whatever intentions we have. And that's how we're going to preserve our deen, from households to societies and the ummah at large, inshallah.
Jazakallah for your time, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please
Barakallah
like,
feek.
subscribe, all of that, and comment. And again, offers there. If you want to come on here and you want to share your story, let's line it up. Take care, everybody. Assalamu
Okay.
alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.